On February 4th, the U.S. military shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon over the coast of the Carolinas. Chad Fish was the photographer that captured that decisive moment, and his photo went viral. It was in the AP, it was in the New York Times. We saw it everywhere, and then we got an email from him.
Chad got paid nothing for an extremely valuable picture that was spread all over the world. It is worth something. We found out exactly how much. We talked to an expert, and then we sent Chad back to negotiate and get some cash. We'll tell you exactly how much that picture was worth.
But first, we're going to tell you how much your Squarespace portfolio is going to be worth, and it's going to be invaluable because it makes you look professional. It's easy to use. You can have a gallery, you can sell your prints, and it's free for 14 days. So try it out. You have nothing to lose except for a couple of minutes of your time. Go to squarespace.com/Chelsea, and when you love it, use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off. So let's get right into it because this story is exciting. You have so much to learn, and you are not going to let your photos get away for $0. We're going to teach you how to make money. So Chad is in the Carolinas. He knows that this spy balloon's flying over. His father-in-law is ex-military, and he's like, they got to shoot this thing down before it gets into international waters. So we might see something if we go to the beach.
Chad jumps on that opportunity. He packs up his Canon R6, his Tamron 150 to 600, heads to Myrtle Beach, and waits.
Yeah, we've got an interview with him so you can hear it straight from him. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Chad.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
First, I would just like to hear the story of how you arrived at taking that picture.
Yeah, so it was interesting because there was about 30 people or so, I think, maybe 20 to 30 people standing around where we were, all watching this happen and recording with their cell phones and whatnot. And they saw me taking pictures. And so after I took some of the pictures, I was showing the people that were standing around. I just said, hey, look what I got with the camera, kind of cool. And one of the gals standing there, hearing how, but she had to contact somehow with the local ABC station.
Oh, nice.
Someone from the local ABC showed up, and she goes, well, can you give me the SD card? And I was like, I'm not sure about giving my SD card to someone, and I would like to use the pictures.
What if you didn't get it back? SD cards are expensive.
That was kind of the excuse I used, I was like, oh, this is kind of expensive. Can I give it to you a different way? But so I sent those to them, and so they actually shared the pictures first on their Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Or the AP before anybody else got them. They were the first ones to share them. And we were tracking, by Saturday night, they were at 16,000 shares.
When you contacted the AP, they sent you back an agreement and there was nothing about compensation in there.
Yeah, it was just 3 lines, just the name, verifying that they are my pictures, and then saying that they can use the pictures. And that's all that was included on the email.
You have a bigger body of work. That's spectacular, by the way.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
I just scrolled through your Instagram. I was like, oh my God, this guy's really good.
Yeah.
I probably owe some of that to you. I've watched you guys for years, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Do you want to know what John thinks you could have made from that picture?
Yes.
You don't want to know.
John says you could have easily gotten $2,000 or $3,000, maybe $5,000.
Yeah.
But he did think there's a likelihood if you go back, you'll be able to get something.
Okay.
And I also asked him more specific questions. So when you watch this, you'll be able to get the answers on what to do next time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, and we've done the same thing. And
Yeah.
I know that's why I wanted to talk to you and John, because I know so many photographers have. How could you know? How would you? I didn't know.
Oh, I do have one more question. You've gotten massive amounts of exposure. Like when I search for Chad Fish balloon, so many results come up from all the big news outlets now. Has that amounted to anything for you?
I think maybe I got 20 new followers on Instagram.
Well, hopefully we'll bring a couple followers your way. And at the very least, I know you're helping a lot of people because I know so many photographers have had the same experience. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story, Chad.
Thank you too. I appreciate you both so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. After the break, we're going to hear from John how Chad should have handled it, how you could handle it if this happens to you, why the journalist asked for Chad's SD card, and a whole bunch of other interesting things. But first, let's talk about our sponsor, Squarespace.
Squarespace is the perfect place to set up any type of website. You can make your pictures and videos look amazing and sell your work. Take appointments from clients, sell prints, whatever you can imagine, get it done at Squarespace. But even if you just have a personal project or a business project, Squarespace Allows you to set up a website with your own custom domain, your own custom emails, and it's so much better than social media because you own it, you control it. Get started today at squarespace.com/Chelsea. If you love it, after your free trial, the coupon code Chelsea gets you 10% off. That's CHELSEA.
I'm so excited to introduce you to John Herrington because what we learned in his class taught us more about negotiating, not just for our photos, but for our videos with our sponsors. And he's made us a lot more money. And I've been looking for a way to share him with the world, and this is a perfect opportunity. So here's our interview with John, and he's going to take you through how he prices his work, how to price your rights, and what Chad should have done differently.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hi,
Good.
how are you,
John?
Good. I was sitting at the Capitol editing photos with a client about an hour and a half ago going, please choose your photos faster. I have to leave.
Yeah.
Well, we have some questions for you. This guy who took this amazing picture of that Chinese balloon ended up getting his photos circulated everywhere.
So he took the photos. He said when he took the photos, a news channel showed up and asked for his SD card.
That's kind of an authenticity thing. When they request the card, they're going to get that file. They're going to be able to know that it's not photoshopped or manipulated in any way. So that helps with the authentication of that image. A lot of times when you're shooting for a news outlet, they are going to want the raw, untouched JPEG and allow their editors to do any cropping or toning. As you know from years past, there's been all sorts of photo manipulation that's occurred in news photos that becomes kind of a egg on people's faces when those news outlets run that photo. So that was the reason for that SD card request. Then you'll notice in that agreement, in the bottom of that agreement, there's a point where they ask this individual to affirm that there was no manipulation to the photos. That's what they're going to lean on were there to ever be any suggestion that the photo was digitally manipulated or what have you.
And then a friend saw his photos and said he knew someone with the AP and suggested that he submit the photo. So he submitted the photos himself. And I sent you the little agreement that he signed. And there was nothing about compensation. Do you think at that point he could have said, you can have the rights, but I do have a fee?
Yes. Once that contract comes to him, that's the point at which there would be a negotiation about compensation. In this case, that did not happen. I think it would be a bit of a challenge at this point for that person to go back and request it kind of after the fact, after they've used it and distributed it. Their leverage, if you will, of going to the Associated Press in this case, or going to one of the other wire services, it has been lost because the AP has it. The AP would have been also willing to pay that some form of a fee because the other wire services, Reuters, Agence France-Presse, UPI, Getty Images, those organizations and others would also want that image exclusively to be able to distribute to their subscribers, their member papers, and what have you.
I'd like to know, in the ideal scenario, how we could have handled this, how you would have negotiated it, and what he should have negotiated.
Sure. So the dollar figure, when you're dealing with an organization like the Associated Press, the dollar figure is going to come in kind of, generally speaking, in one chunk in the beginning, and then in smaller dividends down the line. I have been aware of and been involved in negotiations where the licensing agreement to the Associated Press was $5,000 for the first 7 days, and then a 50-50 split of royalties afterwards.
Do you have some idea of what he could have asked for?
I think he could have easily asked for $2,000 to $3,000 to start. Any person they talked to would have had absolute authority to have given $500 or $1,000 to this particular individual without even thinking, right? Once you get over that $1,000 range, there starts to become these break points where is it 2,000? Is it 3,000? Then you have to have a conversation with a senior bureau editor. You have to call New York. In most cases, if you get over 5,000, that's even a more serious conversation with the people that are, holding the purse strings. Generally speaking, a $5,000 figure is very reasonable for a situation like this. 2 to 3 is a no-brainer. 5,000 is reasonable, and as I said, in a situation like this, you would do 5,000 for 7 days, and then revenue share 50-50 after that.
What do you think the odds of him getting some money now are?
Yeah, you can always ask, and they can always say no. It can't hurt to ask.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I would certainly ask, and I think the avenue for that conversation is to say, "Hi, so I received this document affirming all of these things and giving you permission. What's missing from that is we didn't discuss compensation."
Okay.
Because it is missing from that. Nowhere in
Yes.
that agreement does it say for good and valuable consideration here acknowledged as received, right? It doesn't say that, which is the kind of common language. Okay. It doesn't say for no fee or for $1 or anything. And what they might, when they come back, when this particular individual goes back to the AP and says that, whoever he's talking to, then what's going to happen is that they will say, well, we can offer you a day rate, or we can offer you $50, we can offer you $150, or we'll give you $500. How's that, right? Those are the things that they could say that would allow for maybe the conversation to come back up.
So Chad went back and he said, hey, I know I should have asked beforehand, but am I going to get paid for my picture? And they did. They paid him.
Wow.
He would have definitely had more negotiating power before he signed away the rights. Maybe he would have gotten that $3,000 to $5,000 John was talking about, but he walked away with $1,000, which is better than zero. He deserves it. He got a wonderful picture. So I'm glad that this story had a happy ending for Chad.
All of that is way better than nothing, which is what I've always gotten when I've given pictures to the newspaper. I've learned something from this too. I've always just been excited to have my picture published in the paper, like I'm a little kid. This picture appeared because they got a goal in soccer.
Validate me.
No, exposure doesn't get you anything. What's cool is money.
What's cool as money. No, it's being paid for your labor. Chad had to prepare for this. So to break it down, you're not only selling your initial photo, don't forget to sell the rights. They shouldn't be able to use your photo indefinitely for one payment. You figure out how much they're going to pay for how long they're going to use your photo. And remember, you don't have to work for free. Your labor is worth something, so ask.
Something else professionals do is set up a professional website with their own custom domain. So you're not gmail.com. You're not just, find me on Instagram. Send people to your own website that you control, that you design, that doesn't have any ads for competing services. Set up your website at squarespace.com/Chelsea. You will get a completely free trial. You'll find out it is so easy to pick from one of their many different beautiful designs to customize it to your specs. If you love it, after your free trial, the coupon code Chelsea will get you 10% off. Thanks, Squarespace.
And thank you for watching the Picture This podcast. You can download it anywhere your audio podcasts are available, so you can do that too. And we'll see you next time.